Good morning. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me. And happy Sunday. We made it another week. Yes. Ooh, although what a week it has been. Oh, friend, I am not okay today. I'm just not. I think one of the things that I didn't realize, for the last 5 years, I've been postponing my death. Really, that's what I've been doing. Postponing the inevitable, and I know we all are. I know that we're all going to die someday. It's just most of us are witnessing our own death and managing it and trying to stay alive desperately just to postpone it for just a little bit longer. And it's not out of fear of what comes next. It's not out of fear because of it's none of that. It's actually just because I really like my life and I want to stay here. I love my life. I love my chosen family. I love the life we've built, and I just want to stay. And so I've been working to postpone it. And the whole time since the day I was diagnosed, they told me I had 2 to 5 months to live. And from that day, they said, okay, if we try this and it's successful, then we will try this. And if it's successful, we will try this. I had to clean out my colon. I had to have a new liver. I had to 100 rounds of chemo, 30 rounds of radiation. 14 surgeries. Just been one thing after the next. And it worked for me because if you can focus on, I don't know how you are when it comes to times of stress, but for me, chaos, wrangling chaos, I am a master at. Oh man, it's one of those things where, when you grow up in a world that's run by a merry band of violent drunks, you create these tools. You create these tools to be able to, you're very good at managing chaos. You can be. And that is one of the gifts of growing up in that world, is I was able to take that as an adult and turn it around and have it be one of my superpowers. And always the next step. I'm really good with if there's a next step, lining it up. Let's go. But as you know, in January I had to stop. I have tried everything for 5 years and I have just run out of science. And unfortunately, when I stopped, I caught a respiratory cold, right? Hence the broken rib. And I've been fighting this cold and then new medication because at the same time I decided to try. It's time because now my body's just in pain. A combination of the cancer and 5 years of this draconian, harsh treatment. There's space today where there just hasn't been space because I stopped in January. And even though I was so excited that all the doctor's appointments would stop, being beholden to my calendar had to revolve around cancer. I had to revolve around treatment. We've made the best of it. We have. I mean, we went to Morocco, we went to Iceland, we have gone to concerts, we have had dinner with our friends. Over the 5 years, it has been peaks and valleys. It's just now there's so much space, that there's so much emotions coming back and so much PTSD from all of this, the treatment and the fact that I'm trying to stay alive and it's slowly closing. So I ended up in the ER on Monday, just wanting to make sure I didn't get dehydrated and this and that, but also I've been having these really rolling panic attacks about my breathing. I'm so sorry. I know that sounds just awful, but I can't stop crying and I can't stop my nose from leaking. What can I do? I'm a river of snot. I have the respiratory issues were valid for a little bit. I was coughing so much that I broke a rib and I had have this thing, but it started to go away. But I think it triggered a heightened sense of fear, you know? Because the one thing that has been consistent about these last 5 years is that through it all, like I had to be laser focused. I had to be laser focused on my body and on my mind to make sure I knew what was happening with my body. You know, the 4 times that this cancer grew back, I knew, I literally felt it. Walked into my doctor the next day and asked for a CT scan. When it moved to my brain, my doctor told me, you know, you're going too far, Nicole. I don't think it doesn't show up in your head, your type of disease. Well, doc, let's just run an MRI just in case. Turns out I'm right every time. I wouldn't know that if I wasn't focused. I wouldn't know that if I couldn't laser in. And this thing with the respiratory, these panic attacks, I think it was kicked off by this last cold, but I keep thinking that I'm unable to breathe, and so then I run into this really intense respiratory, like trying to catch my breath, and then I'm doing the mental work of telling myself, okay, let's count, let's visualize, let's understand this isn't real, because you've gone to the doctor, you went to the ER, they did a CT scan. The week before, you went to the doctor and they did other tests, x-rays, this, that. Like, I know there is nothing wrong right now with me physically. My lungs are actually clear, even though they have cancer, but they're not creating this problem. But I'm unable to sleep because as soon as I start to fall asleep, I get so scared that I won't be able to know if I'm not breathing if I fall asleep. And what I'm realizing is all of this has been triggered. It has triggered my last 9 months of treatment before I stopped. I chose to do this very draconian. It was the last opportunity. It was the last chance. You know, I've always said you just gotta stay alive to keep up with the science. Well, science was presented to me, and I chose to do it. It was my choice. You can choose not to, but I want to stay here a bit longer. So I did. What that treatment meant was that every other week I would check myself into the ICU or the hospital for 48 to 72 hours, and they would give me a drug that was so dangerous. There's a chemo that creates an anaphylactic reaction in 100% of people, and usually people stop. But no, I have a wonderful team that created a program that I could walk in, and they would try to mitigate that allergic reaction. Mitigate, not stop, not eliminate, mitigate. And so you'd walk in and they'd hit you up, you had to get ready, and they'd hit you up with Benadryl and steroids and some other drugs and get me ready, and then they would start dripping the chemo. And the whole time I have someone assigned to me, literally a nurse assigned to me for the 48, 72 hours to watch me, to catch that allergic reaction when it happens so that I don't die. Do you know how many times this happened? The first time this allergic reaction happened, I was sleeping and I woke up with my throat closed. And it was so scary. And I didn't have time then to be scared. Because every 2 weeks, if I was scared, I wouldn't walk through the door. If I questioned it, I wouldn't walk through the door, and I couldn't. So I had to put myself into a fucking shitting rainbows mental, right? Okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna check ourselves in, and we got this. And we're safe, and we're okay. There's a team right here, and they're gonna take care of you. And you've got this. But see, the thing is, even in this treatment, like the Benadryl that they give you enough to knock a horse down. That knocks every patient out. Patients show up that are on this program, they fall asleep. Does Nicole? No. I'm fighting it. Like, now I understand I was fighting it like tooth and nail because I needed to be aware, because this allergic reaction would happen constantly. And they would, that was the whole point of the program. That's why they had someone watching you all the time, is because they would catch it and they would stop it. And if it was minor enough, we would start the chemo again and see if it happened again. But for 9 months, I had to be so aware. Is the allergic reaction happening? Can I breathe? Okay. And I can't turn it off, apparently, because now, when I get sick, these last couple of weeks, I think it was also triggered by I'm starting my pain management protocol, because I've been really fortunate. I've been really fortunate for 5 years to not have to take opiates to manage my pain. I found other ways to do it, whether it be through visualization techniques and my mental ninja shit, or if it was some minor relief, whatever. But the point is that all of this is just, I've had to be so pay attention, and at every step it was dangerous. And so for the last 9 months, every treatment, everything just meant, and even when I was released from the hospital, you had to pay attention to make sure that a reaction didn't come later or whatever. Like, you just had to be so freaking hyper aware. And I just didn't realize until now there's all this space, and I start this pain management program, and I think that also has kicked in this PTSD, because now I'm trying to figure out what is the best opioid plan for me, what gives me the pain relief that I need and the quality of life that I want. So I'm working and trying this and that and tinkering with my palliative care. And in that tinkering, though, these drugs, when they hit you, oh man, they hit you and you're just rolling. And I think it's that sensation was bringing back the sensation of the treatment and when they would start the flow and the Benadryl, and I had to fight it to stay awake so I could pay attention, to make sure that I could alert them if there was something going on, right? And now I'm trying this new pain medication, and I'm not in danger, and there's nothing wrong. And yet the minute I start to feel that, I start fighting it, and I can't breathe, and I can't breathe. And so I had a really hard time until I found the right pain medicine. I needed to come off of anything that gave me that feeling. So I'm just on gabapentin now. But once I figured out that was what was happening, I transferred. I think my mind transferred that feeling to when you're falling asleep, because I think it had been triggered by the few weeks of these pain medications and having that sensation again and that feeling. And then when I remove that, I'm getting that same sensation and that same feeling from falling asleep. And it's freaking me out. And so I can't sleep, because every time I start to fall asleep and I feel that sensation, I'm telling myself, oh, wake up, pay attention. Because there's no one here to pay attention. There's no nurse watching me. There's no one around the corner with a goddamn EpiPen with the kid to save me. It's just me. I have to pay attention so that I can save myself. From what? I don't know. Because there's nothing to save myself from in this moment. But it's the triggering. And I'm trying to balance it all week. I'm trying to not, I'm trying to sit in it, but don't stay in it. But when it's a panic attack, whew, man, that energy that goes into it, it's insane, right? I mean, like, as much as you can tell yourself when this happens, I'm trying to talk to myself. You're okay. There's nothing wrong with your lungs. There's nothing wrong with your breathing. You're not having an allergic reaction. You're not having any type of thing that needs to be, you don't need to be rescued. You're okay. For right here, right now, you're okay. And I go through this mental ninja game. And hopefully I'm able to calm myself down. And yeah, I am pulling out all the tools that I have. I'm doing some art and I'm I had a bit of joy this week and I have a pen pal relationship with the kids in my life. So I've been able to, there's a lot of birthdays this week and things like that. And so it was just really enjoyable to be able to kind of take my mind and it's just been so hard. It's hard when you're dealing with something that's not real, right? And I don't mean to say that my feelings aren't real, the validity of what I'm going through or what you would be going through in this situation. Like, however we choose to deal with it, however it manifests itself, obviously it's real. But it's not. And so you have to talk yourself into understanding that and reassuring yourself. And I feel so bad for my poor wife is watching this and she's seen how scared I am. And there's nothing she can do. What can you do when you're having when your brain is saying, oh my God, you're not breathing. You're gonna die. And it's not real. What do you do? The poor woman, I came up with a plan. I said, can we try? I'm not taking any drug that makes that feeling come on. The only thing that makes that feeling come on right now is sleep. And so somehow I need to assure myself that I'm safe. And so I thought, babe, how about I'm going to tell you when I take a nap, or I'm going to tell you when, okay, I'm going to sleep now, so that I can at least think like, okay, my wife is here. She's paying attention. Somebody's here. I'm okay. I'm safe, right? But one day, the poor woman, she just stepped outside to take the garbage out. But I went to lay down and I went to tell her. And mind you, I can't really walk right now, so I can't go and find her. So I'm yelling out in her house and she's not answering because she stepped out to take the garbage out. But I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden, I'm calling out to her and she's not answering. And I'm struggling because I'm so tired. And I just can't break through it. And it was one of those days I was just so tired. And she didn't answer, and I thought I was all alone, and I just spiraled, and I thought, oh my God, I'm all alone, and I'm going to die. Again, it doesn't make sense, but this is what's happening in my brain. And by the time she got back in, I was in hysterics, and can you imagine, the poor woman can't even step outside to go to the garbage without worrying about my mental state collapsing. Like I said, it's been a very long week. We were going to try to go to a concert, which is really, it would have been just a walk from the parking lot to the building, which wasn't that far. Bought tickets to make sure I could have a seat, but I'm having trouble being around people right now too, because I don't want to catch any respiratory issues from them. I don't know, it's as I said, it's really rough. It's really rough. And I don't know if part of the falling asleep issue is also combined with, I'm coming to the end, and maybe I'm just scared that I won't wake up. I don't know. I just know that I'm really, really, really struggling. I don't... I create imaginary worlds to deal with my stress. I create all these visual techniques. It's been my lifesaver since I was a child, to be able to create an entire world outside of what I was existing in, to create safety. And I have these tools, and I can't access them. The problem is right now is that these feelings, these thoughts, it's like, do you remember a couple of months ago when I went to the dentist? I discovered that I had osteonecrosis from treatment, and that my jawbone is starting to collapse on itself. And the bone came out of the skin, and I had to have surgery, and it was terrifying, right? But do you remember a couple of weeks later, I was so sure that it happened again. I could feel it. I literally could feel it, the pain, but then I checking with your finger in your mouth, I could feel it, but it didn't exist. I went back to my oral surgeon, had him check everything out, and there was nothing wrong. I had imagined all of it. And I kind of feel like that's what's happening right now, is because, yeah, I do have, a slight respiratory thing, but I'm going to the doctor and there's nothing wrong because it's all in my head. And I'm not used to imaginary worlds taking over my brain. Does that make sense? When you, I know a lot of people struggle with, being overwhelmed by the future because they imagine all of these things that are going to happen or could happen or whatever. I've never had that problem because I grew up in a world of, merry, violent drunks, and you just dealt with what was in front of you. You didn't I didn't waste my energy thinking about the future. I've just never been in a situation where my brain is creating a false world to navigate. And that is really strange. And that's where all of my mental ninja techniques of managing pain, that's a real thing. And then you're creating all of these tools to be able to breathe through that, to manage through that, right? The cancer diagnosis, the treatment, all of it's real, and you're pushing yourself to figure this out. But when it's not, when all of a sudden I'm like, falling asleep, what is that? Holy cow! I mean, I know this, and I'm not liking the language that I'm using because this is very legitimate, obviously for people. I've just never experienced this before, and so if you have, I would love, how do you address that, right? So I think the other thing is I've had a lifetime where I'm super busy. I'm task oriented. Those are the things that that help me. So my life has always been packed with one thing to the next, and now there's so much space, and I don't know how to react to reacting to, okay, I'm having trouble breathing and it's real. That's one thing, and yet now I'm going, I can't breathe, but there's no reason I can't breathe except for my mind is manifesting this. So that is a really different thing that I haven't dealt with. I hope that makes sense. Oh, I will say, I do want to show you something. Trying to make time, trying to lay down the pathways to be able to program my brain to breathe through this. A friend of mine gave me this lovely little gift, and I just wanted to show it to you. It comes in a little black box, and there's all these ways of sitting still and finding peace for your brain. But this little gift, it's a little candle and a little candle base, and you stick it in here, you get yourself set up, and it burns for 20 minutes. It's very nice, very no smell, burns cleanly. But you set yourself up and turn this on, and this is 20 minutes of just allowing your brain to roam or heal or do whatever it needs to do. It's a very cute little thing. I know, I usually, for my coffee cancer chats, the hour each day that I allow my mind to go in crazy with all the thoughts of the fact that I'm dying of cancer, I use an alarm for, so that when it's over, the alarm gently goes off and stops me. I really like this. This is really cute. This is a really nice, and so this is something that I was doing right before our chat, and something that I think I'm going to do after our chat. Again, trying to find ways, little ways, to figure out this new challenge. Also, before I forget, I do want to thank Diane. Thanks for the letter. I got it in my P.O. box. I greatly appreciated it. I very much love the paper planting. This paper, I don't know if you know, folks, if you've come across this, but it's basically seeds so that you can plant it and create something out of it, which is really lovely. That was a very nice surprise that popped up this week, so I just wanted to thank you before I forgot. I would absolutely love if you've ever dealt with this, how do you manage your mind to understand that the reality that we're existing in is not what you're experiencing? Because it's amazing to me, which I guess I shouldn't be amazed, because my visualization techniques, the worlds that I have created, they are very real to me. They are very, very real, and they have been an incredible, wonderful access, wonderful thing to access over my entire lifetime. Right? When you grow up in a world where all the moms are screaming and crying, and the children are screaming and crying, and the dad's either laughing or not. So you need a mental break. And so I have been creating worlds forever. I've just never had a world developed in my brain by my brain in reaction to stress that appears so real. And that's what I need to figure out how to manage. Well, thank you, friend. Thank you. This has been a very very helpful conversation. I thought my mind was going to be creating happy things since I was stopped all of these attacks on my body. But, my mind it's obviously healing. It hasn't been given the time or the space to be able to do what it needs to do, and now it's doing it all at once, and oh, yay. At least I am here to have these struggles, right? Ooh. All right, friend. Ooh. Well, I am. Today, my goal is I want to try to cook dinner. See if I can prop myself up and manage to be able to do something kind of normal and do something that gives me mindlessly cooking is so restorative to me. That's my goal for today. That's what I hope. Thank you. Thank you for coming to hang out. I'm sure I'll find some tools to share next week. But in the meantime, please jot down yours. Pardon me again. All right, I will see you next Sunday.